I'm Sally Glutting. I live in Kalispell, Montana, up near Glacier National Park, which obviously I am very fortunate to live here, and that provides me with a lot of inspiration for my art. Um, I was a special education teacher for almost 40, well, it was 40 years in the public school system here. But I started quilting um, even before I started teaching. So I have been quilting for over more than 40 years now. Um, and I started I started quilting in the early 1980s when quilting was just beginning to become more recognized and a little more popular. I guess that's the right word. And I started quilting before there were rotary cutters. Okay. So, um, anyway, and I started out doing more traditional quilts. My first quilt was a trip around the world baby quilt for my son, who is now 44. Um, but I was always inspired by the fabric, by the colors and the prints and all of the interesting designs that you could do with them. I feel like I was very fortunate because I was in a community that really also supported quilting and art quilters as well. And back in those early days, we would get lots of teachers to come, and I took lots of classes, and I just learned so many different techniques that I tried and still use. Um, One of the things that was I that was interesting was that I was able to and people will chuckle, but because I was teaching full time and having and had raising kids, I became a very avid collector, and I collected fabric, and I collected beads and other embellishment. And because I was working full time, I didn't use all of my collection. And so now I have a really wonderful collection that I don't even have to go to the fabric store anymore. So instead, I just go to my studio and decide what am I going to work on today. So um, I joined SAQA a long time ago, and then for the last number of years, I have been the regional representative for Idaho and Montana, and that has even opened more opportunities for learning and finding your tribe, and finding other people that like to do the same kind of work that you do. I was also very fortunate that after I retired, which was about 12 years ago, I was invited to join a fiber art group where there were just 5 people, and I'm the only quilter person in the group. Everybody else does other things, but it provided me with opportunities and education because we meet once a month, and every month we try something different. And so I have learned a lot of different surface design techniques over the years that then I'm able to put into my work. I keep a journal, and I write lots of ideas down in it. I like to work in series, and over the years, I have a number of series going. I became interested. Um, oh, many years ago in labyrinths and labyrinth art. And so that just provides, for a couple years, I did a different labyrinth piece every month that created a lot of labyrinths. And I have done a solo show with just the labyrinths, which was really fun to do. Um, and so I am inspired by a piece of fabric. Sometimes it is the beads, that, oh my gosh, these beads are sometimes, a lot of times it's what's happening in the garden. It's what's happening, what season it is. In the winter, I do a lot of snow dyeing. And I know that you can use ice, but I prefer to use snow. And then that also gives me a timeline, like a timeline of when I can actually do that. Um, so I will get an idea. Sometimes I will have the whole idea before I start. And sometimes I will just have part of an idea, and I will start with like the center or the focus or the main part of the piece. And then when that's done, then I can decide, is that enough, or should I make, does it need to be bigger? What can I do? What else can I put in it? Does it have enough embellishments? And so on. So I, I would say that it it just sort of depends. I would say mostly it depends upon the fabric, the fibers, the beads, and whatever the idea is from wherever I got it. I like to I like to create things when I like to do a lot of handwork. I like to create things when we're on trips and we go camping. I have been known to sew, and when we are floating down the river in our drift boat. Um, so it just kind of, I love working outside. I just think that we have so many wonderful inspirations where we live. And also just by sharing whatever it is, the colors, the design, I think it also invites people to appreciate nature. That was really fun to do because, like I said, I started snow dyeing a couple years ago, and one of my goals, without being too exact about it, was how to manipulate the fabric and create a design that is sort of a flower, but not exact, like it doesn't scream, I'm a flower, look at me, but it gives you the impression of this is a flower. So the piece that's in the show was I started with a batik that was a print that was okay, but it wasn't that exciting. And then I overdyed it using the snow, and I was really happy with the result that it had enough of a flower essence about it. Um, I decided it didn't need anything else but machine quilting. And so that was the second part of it. So actually, it was a fairly simple whole cloth piece that just spoke to me. And I have a number of other ones that I like that are on the design table but not yet made. Well, I hope that they will enjoy the whole show in general, and the fact that we have so many amazing quilt artists in our region, and we really appreciate that you guys have our show, um, and that there's a sense of nature or appreciation of nature that you can take away from that. So, and just to appreciate, just to enjoy seeing quilts as art on the wall.